The internet is the most crucial piece of technology in our current information age. It's how we share things with the world. And every individual, including you, has the power to create, sell, distribute, and learn through the internet. But even though websites are such a crucial part of our everyday lives, how do you get your voice out on the web? How do you create a platform that'll help you achieve your personal and professional goals? How do you create a community through this oh so important resource? The answer to those questions for millions of people around the world is WordPress. WordPress is a free website publishing application that empowers you, regardless of your skill level or experience, to publish a blog, website, or e-commerce store on the internet. WordPress and its community has opened countless doors for me, and now I use my time to open those doors for others. We will review what WordPress is so that you can understand what you're capable of doing with it. We'll go step by step into the process of launching and then adding content to a WordPress website. And we'll even visit some troubleshooting tips at the end. I'll be providing resources and links so you can go beyond this foundational course and take your WordPress site to the next level. So if you're ready to build your first site with WordPress, join me in my course. Let's go. So before we fully dive into how to build a site with WordPress, we need to know what WordPress is. How is it different from other site builders, and how do those differences make it a stronger tool? In the past, before content management systems existed, developers had to write every line of code that makes up a site from scratch. And if they wanted to change something about a site, they had to write new code or edit existing code. This made creating and managing websites difficult and time-consuming. A content management system allows you to fast forward through the development process. You begin with an empty website and user-friendly, code-free tools to populate your site with dynamic content. Other content management tools like Squarespace or Wix come with more built-in tools that might allow you to launch a site more quickly. However, WordPress provides you with much more customization and has better SEO out of the box. Probably my favorite benefit is that with WordPress, you own all your content and have full power over where to host and store it. The first iteration of WordPress was created in 2003 by Matt Mullenweg and Mike Little. It was their goal to build a new blogging platform on top of software that they were already using, which was being discontinued. At first, it was meant to publish blog content. Plugins were added in the next year. Pages were added after that. Through the entire lifetime of WordPress, the community around it continued to grow. As of the end of 2021, WordPress websites accounted for 43% of the top 10 million websites on the internet. One of the things that makes WordPress so unique is that its software is open source. This means that any of the source code can be inspected, modified, and changed by anyone, anywhere, for pretty much any reason. Open source software like WordPress is free, flexible, and community-focused. WordPress is more adaptable, and individual site builders have more control over the way the software develops over time. The WordPress software is 100% free to use. It's developed and maintained by a global team of volunteers. The WordPress community includes developers, designers, marketers, content writers, business owners, and more. They write software, create products, put on events, and overall strive to make WordPress more usable and more accessible to more people. Virtually every change, feature, or improvement you see added to WordPress over time was created by a real-life WordPress user. 2 or 3 times a year, a new version of WordPress is released. New versions may correct bugs, add new features, change the user interface, provide security improvements, or lots of other things. So let's go over what's new in the most recent release from January 2022, which is called 5.9. This new update contains one of the most exciting updates to WordPress in a very long time, called the Full Site Editor. Access it by going to Appearance and then Editor on your dashboard. This allows you to edit all the parts of your website in one place, including the header and footer through the block editor screen. This is an exciting new feature, and don't forget to check back in the library as we look forward to adding more videos about how this part works. The 5.9 release comes with a new default theme called 2022. Using over 30 theme blocks, you can build your site layout and design purely with blocks. Previously, default themes relied on the classic editor, but this one is the first one to be 100% block-based. It comes with a handful of color schemes and typeface combinations baked right in, which results in many different combinations to choose from. Styles are a quick way to change visual elements like typography and colors site-wide. Instead of going to Appearance Customizer like you would before to make stylistic changes, you can visit the Styles interface inside the Site Editor. This section allows you to make decisions about your site's typography settings and color schemes and layouts much more easily. Using the Styles interface will help you build designs faster and with reliable consistency. Patterns were available in 5.8, but have gotten a boost in 5.9. You can use patterns in this new update to create headers and footers more easily. Patterns are amazing because they allow you to drop in beautifully arranged collections of blocks with just a few clicks. The Pattern Explorer is now available, where you can compare patterns and choose the right one for your page design. You can search or filter by content area to find the perfect pattern. The navigation block is available through the block library here. Previously, we had to go to the menu list item through the dashboard, but now I can also add or edit menus through the block editor. You can select an existing navigation menu, add all the pages on the site to this menu, or start with a blank menu that you can build out from scratch. The addition of this block makes building these content areas so much faster and smoother. And that isn't all. 5.9 comes with dozens of additional changes that you might find useful. Remember, you can always learn about the features of a new WordPress release by visiting its field guide. Google your version plus field guide to find the page on make.wordpress.org that provides you with an outline of the update. When researching WordPress, you may come across two different versions: WordPress the software, found via wordpress.org, and WordPress as a service-based website solution, found via wordpress.com. It's important to know the difference because it will affect how you launch and maintain your site. Simply put, building a website with wordpress.com means you're using and often buying a service that includes the WordPress software. WordPress.com includes hosting, a domain, and other support services provided by a company called Automatic. On WordPress.org, you can download the WordPress core software, as well as some plugins and themes, all for free. And you can use all of this to build a website. Any hosting and/or other services you buy come from third parties that you can choose. The WordPress software, accessible through WordPress.org, is completely free and can be downloaded as many times as you want in order to build as many sites as you want. WordPress.com is a great option for some because it takes a lot of the technical steps off of your plate. Using the service means you don't have to worry about hosting, security, updates, domains, etc. All this comes in one handy package. WordPress.com does offer a very limited free option, or you can purchase a personal, premium, business, or e-commerce package. The package you purchase will affect what your site can and cannot do. This does mean that you might get less flexibility, less customization, and might pay more upfront in order to get your website launched. WordPress.org is great because it's 100% free to download, and you can do almost anything once you have that software in your hands. You can build any site, big or small. It does mean that there are additional steps required, like buying hosting and a domain name, and you have to be more proactive about keeping your site up. There is also a slightly larger learning curve to using the WordPress software provided for free via WordPress.org. In this course, I'll primarily focus on WordPress the software rather than WordPress the service, but much of the information will carry over. The WordPress community is a massive part of what makes WordPress so powerful. It's not just software, but a global network of individuals who build things with that software. Like we mentioned in a previous video, WordPress is open source, so its growth and its maintenance rely on a team of sponsored contributors and volunteers. When you build something with WordPress, you have thousands of people to thank. If you'd like to be one of those volunteers, you can. Anyone can contribute, regardless of how well they know the software. It's about a lot more than writing code. Contributing to the open source community could mean joining a team to help write code, create new designs, write documentation, translate WordPress into new languages, organize WordPress events, and so much more. There are also more creative and free-form ways to be an active member of the community, like starting a WordPress podcast, a YouTube channel, a blog, or a newsletter. Many community members opt for one of these options in order to connect with and educate other community members on their own terms. One of the best ways to get familiar with and find benefit from the WordPress community is to find a way to connect with others in whatever way feels best for you. Find a local WordPress meetup or attend a virtual or in-person WordCamp in your city. There are tons of places online where WordPressers of all experience levels gather to learn and teach. These include groups like HeroPress, Post Status, and the Make WordPress Slack. These groups are a fantastic way to find job opportunities within the WordPress ecosystem as well. Learning to build sites with WordPress is a fantastic on-ramp to finding a job in tech that suits your interests. You can use this course to build a simple website for yourself or for your business. You can use this course to build foundational knowledge necessary to launch a career with WordPress. And feel free to watch this course from beginning to end or hop around as you see fit. Chapter 1 gives you a basic understanding of what WordPress is as a program and how it differs from other content management systems, so that you can determine if WordPress is actually the right software for you. Chapter 2 shows you how to pick the best host for your needs, get your site environment ready, create the user accounts you need, and how to update the WordPress software. Chapter 3 shows you how to navigate to the parts of the admin screen you need when you first log in. If you feel overwhelmed by links and options when you first log into WordPress, this chapter is for you. And Chapter 4 shows you how to customize the global settings of your site, from establishing global settings, setting up a theme, and adding your branded colors, fonts, and logos. Chapter 5 shows you how to customize the navigational global settings of your site, like your main menu, footer area, and any widgets you may need. Chapter 6 brings us to building out content with pages. Think your homepage, your about page, etc. Chapter 7 brings us to posts, or web pages that make up a blog. We cover everything from posting, editing posts, using categories, featured images, and more. Chapter 8 is our guide to the block editor. We'll talk about adding and customizing blocks on pages and posts, navigating the block sidebar, unlocking the power of reusable blocks, and more. Chapter 9 is all about using the media library to add and manage things like images, PDFs, audio files, and videos. Chapter 10 is our guide to plugins. We'll talk about how to find the best plugins for your needs, how to install them in various ways, and how to manage them once they're installed and activated. Chapter 11 is all about keeping WordPress secure. We'll cover the basics of WordPress security, which includes secure user accounts, SSL certificates, and backups. And finally, Chapter 12 will show you how to identify and resolve a few common WordPress issues, like the infamous white screen of death, a broken theme, and a hacked website. The first step to launching a WordPress website is to secure website hosting. If you're building a site with the free WordPress software downloaded from WordPress.org, hosting is an essential part of the process. So, what is hosting anyway? Websites are made up of files. They may be HTML, CSS, PHP files, database files, image files, etc. Regardless, all files need a physical place to be stored. When you take a photo on a camera, that file is stored on a device like an SD card. You could move the file to your computer, and now it's stored on your hard drive. Hosting works in a similar way. These are the files that make up a WordPress website, and they need to be stored on a server. When you pay for hosting, you're actually renting space on a server, which is like a gigantic computer, and those computers are owned by hosting companies. A WordPress site is made up of a very specific set of files and database tables. When you type the domain name or URL of a website into your browser, you're asking the browser to follow this specific address to a server where those files are going to be stored. The browser requests the files using the URL as a sort of password. Then, the files are returned to your browser and presented to you visually. A host makes all of this happen. You can have a local website, meaning the files exist on your laptop or computer, but browsers can't find that URL and grab those files for people elsewhere to view. Managed WordPress hosting is your strongest choice when searching for a host. Managed WordPress hosting is optimized for WordPress performance, down to the support team that you work with. When you use managed hosting, you can launch a WordPress site in just a few clicks using your host's installation process. And it comes with all kinds of bells and whistles designed specifically for the WordPress experience. Now, hosting plans don't just store files. They usually also come with features and services like threat detection, backup services, updates, caching, build tools, and customer support. Plans will vary depending on server resources, features, and services. Hosting can cost anywhere from $1 a month to thousands of dollars per month. With hosting, the old adage is true. You get what you pay for. Launching a basic website with a ton of features, you might pay around $25 to $40 a month for basic hosting. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of launching a WordPress website. For this course, I'll be focusing on the free WordPress.org method rather than the WordPress.com service. The entire process will begin with hosting. A WordPress website is launched when it's visible online, but you can have a formal launch where you share the URL with people once the site is completely built. Depending on the host you choose, the install process will vary. If you're using managed WordPress, chances are there's a one-click install option to use, so let's explore that option first. Here is my SiteGround hosting account. Once I'm logged in, I can go to Websites, then choose New Website. From here, I can either purchase a domain, use an existing domain name that I've already purchased, or select a temporary domain. So I'll select a temporary one for now. I can now either start a new website or create an environment into which I can migrate the files from an existing website. We're going to want to launch a new one. I have the choice to launch a WordPress site or a WordPress site with WooCommerce, which will let me build an online store. I'll stick with the plain WordPress site for now. SiteGround is asking me to create login credentials using my email and my password. Make sure to select an email address that you have access to and a very secure password. I have the chance to purchase some additional hosting features, but I'll skip those for the moment and I can always get them later on if I want. Now, SiteGround will actually build the site for me. I just have to wait a few minutes for it to complete the install. When it's done, I'll be redirected to this page where I can view my site, log into the admin area, or go to my hosting site tools to make some customizations. Let's go ahead and log in. SiteGround will ask me a few more questions about how I want to optimize my site, but we'll go ahead and skip through them for now. Once I click complete, it will finalize my install. Now, we're on my dashboard. SiteGround will take me here without asking me to log in again. You can also manually install WordPress by uploading the site files to your server. This is a more advanced method that you should only try if you're familiar with code and databases. Regardless of how you set up your site, there's one surefire way to log into your website once it's been created. Enter your website URL into the browser bar, and then add wp-admin to the end of that domain name. You'll be redirected to a login page where you can access the dashboard. To access your WordPress website's backend or dashboard, which is where you add and manipulate content, you need to first log in. You can create many user accounts for various people to enable them to log in. Treat administrator user accounts like copies of your house key. It's probably a good idea to have one copy, maybe two, but don't give them out to just anyone. Every WordPress install has at least one user, and this is usually the administrator. You would create an additional user if someone needs to be able to log in on their own terms to make changes and content updates for themselves. It's a good idea to use appropriate user roles for their needs and keep administrator roles to a minimum. Each user account has three main components that the user will need to remember or store: username, email, and password. These will be used to log in. If you set a hard-to-guess username and password, your user account should be safe. But it's also very easy to recover a lost password just in case you forget it. On the login screen, note this link here at the bottom. When clicked, you can enter your email address and get a link for a new password. That means if someone on your team forgets a password, they can reset it all by themselves without needing to contact a developer or site admin. If you want to create a new user account, first log in using your admin account, and then go to Users and Add New. Here you can add a username, password, and email address for this user, as well as other important information like their role. Let's talk about roles for a moment. The administrator has access to all the administration features within a single site. An editor can publish and manage posts, including the posts of other users. The author is somebody who can publish and manage just their own posts. A contributor is somebody who can write and manage their own posts but cannot publish them. And a subscriber can only manage their own profile without publishing any content. There is also a super admin setting, which is somebody with access to the site network administration features and all other features. But this only applies to WordPress multi-sites, so we won't worry about that here. If you want each of your users to have a photo associated with their profile, this is possible using Gravatar, which works through the WordPress.com service. In the user profile, click this link below the image, and it'll take you to the Gravatar website. Click Create Your Own Gravatar to create an account. Add an email, a username, and a password. You'll then be asked to confirm using the confirmation email that Gravatar sends you. And once you click Activate, you'll be taken to your WordPress.com account. In that area, you'll add a name and any other information that you'd like, and then you can upload your photo. Once saved, you'll see that any WordPress site user account that uses your email will pull in your profile photo. For example, any site that I log into or create a user account with using my email address will use this same exact photo. Remember in Chapter 1 when we talked about open source? All year long, a team of volunteers is working to add improvements, bug fixes, new features, developer APIs, and more to WordPress core. This means that every 4 to 5 months, a major release of WordPress will become available, including the most recent changes. Typically, a major release will go from 5.6 to 5.7, for example, or from 5.9 to 6.0. For each WordPress site that you have, you'll need to update WordPress when that new version is available. Sometimes, newer sites will update automatically. However, you may be working with an older install where you'll need to do that update manually. So, let's walk through updating WordPress together. When you log into WordPress, you might see these red notifications if new updates of any kind of software are available. You can check to see if it's a WordPress core software update by clicking Updates, and then looking for this text that would read, "An updated version of WordPress is available." In order to get that update, choose Update Now. WordPress will fetch and install the newest version for you, and you'll know it's complete when you see a welcome screen that looks something like this. So, what should you expect to change when you make an update to WordPress? It really depends on the update itself. Some updates include small cosmetic changes that you might not even notice. You can use the release notes to check out what's new in your current version. Some might have important security updates that make your site safer, and the list goes on. You can always learn what's included in an update by going to this URL, wordpress.org/news/category/releases. WordPress core updates are different from theme or plugin updates. Individual theme or plugin developers can distribute new versions of their products at any time. And we will talk more about updating themes and plugins later. It's a good idea to set a reminder or alert to make sure you don't forget to perform updates. If you use managed WordPress hosting, these updates may be done for you automatically, but if not, you will be responsible for performing these updates yourself. When you first log in to your WordPress website, you'll be met with the admin screen, also called the dashboard or the backend. There are three main areas: the main menu on the left, the dashboard homepage made of widgets that appear in the center, and the toolbar at the top. Let's go over the items in the main menu. Dashboard Home brings you to the dashboard, or this page that we're looking at now. And Dashboard Updates lets you see all the updates currently available. Posts is where you can add posts, and manage categories and tags. Posts and pages are different. Posts are a series of pages that may display in a blog or newsletter format. Media is where you can add and manage images, videos, sound files, PDFs, and more. You can upload, manage, and delete them from this screen. Pages is where you can add and manage your website's pages. We'll talk more about the differences between pages and posts later on. Comments is where you go to manage any comments you may have received through your website. If you have a blog, you should be aware of comments. Appearance provides an array of tools and settings that help you manage how your site looks globally. This section is also where you go to add, manage, and remove themes. Plugins allow you to add and manage the plugins you have on your website. Through this area, we can find the plugin directory, where we can search for and download free plugins. Users allows you to add and manage the users who have access to the backend of your website. Users are people who can log in and make changes to the site depending on their user access level. Make sure not to confuse users with visitors, which are people who come to your site to use it from the front end. The Tools menu lets you import and export content, as well as view site health information, and much more. Settings allows you, as the site administrator, to make decisions about how your site operates, as well as things like languages, time zones, link formatting, and more. Keep in mind that if we add plugins to our website, the menu will extend. Many plugins will add a settings menu to this area in order to allow you to manipulate the options for that individual plugin. As you can see, I've installed the Yoast SEO plugin, and after activating it, a new Yoast menu option appears. When you first log into your WordPress website, you'll be met with the admin screen, also called the dashboard or the backend. There are three main areas: the main menu on the left, the dashboard homepage made of widgets that appear in the center, and the toolbar at the top. Let's go over the items that appear on the center dashboard page. The widgets you can expect to see on this page will be called Activity, Quick Draft, At a Glance, WordPress Events and News, and Site Health. The Activity panel will show you recently published posts and new comments so that you can see what's been published to your site recently. The Quick Draft panel allows you to get started right away on a new post. This is great if you have a good idea and want to immediately outline or draft it. The At a Glance panel will show you the content currently populating your website, including posts, pages, and comments. The Site Health panel gives you an idea of the overall health of your website and alerts you to the tasks you should perform in order to improve security and performance. If I click here, it takes me to the Site Health screen, which will give me a concise list of the outstanding tasks that I need to perform to improve my website. And finally, the WordPress Events and News panel gives you an insight into the things currently going on in the WordPress community. Keep an eye on this section to learn about WordPress events near you and important announcements made recently by the open source project. If you want to rearrange the widgets in this area, click the heading of that area and drag the section to where you'd like it to be. You can also use the up and down arrows to adjust the order. And if you'd like to hide a widget altogether, use the solid up arrow all the way on the right. Keep in mind that these areas may seem very simplistic when you first log in, but as we add plugins to our site, more widgets might be added to this area. Many plugins will add a widget to this area to provide a quick view of certain metrics or reminders. Here, I installed the Give WP donation plugin. When donations have been made, this widget will tell me how my donations are doing at a glance right when I log in. When you first log into your WordPress website, you'll be met with the admin screen, also called the dashboard or the backend. There are three main areas: the main menu on the left, the dashboard homepage made of widgets that appear in the center, and the toolbar at the top. Let's go over the items in the toolbar, which will appear on your dashboard as well as on your site, but only when you're logged in. Clicking on the site name in the top bar is like a door that brings you to the website, and then clicking on it again will bring you back to the dashboard. You can use this to toggle back and forth. Clicking this chat icon will bring you to your comments admin area, where you can manage any comments you've received from site visitors. Add new content quickly with the new plus icon. Hovering over it will allow you to choose whether you want to publish a new post, add new media, publish a new page, or create a new user. If you just click plus new, it will bring you to a page that allows you to start writing a new post. Plugins you activate may add an icon or option to this top menu bar. So for example, I just installed a plugin called W3 Total Cache. It has added this performance option to the top bar, which quickly allows me to see what my caching settings are, as well as new plugin features or options that might be available to me. As a site administrator, you should be somewhat familiar with the settings area of your dashboard. This allows you to have more control over how your site is used from the visitor's perspective. Let's go over the submenu items in the settings menu and what they allow you to do. When you choose the settings menu item, you'll find multiple sub-items. The General tab looks like this and allows you to change the site title, which appears in your Browser tab. You can set a main administration email address, change role details, and change language and time zone settings. In the Writing tab, you can make some changes to how posts and mail works within your site. The Reading tab looks like this, and it lets you decide what your homepage will show, what your blog feed will show, and how search engines interact with your site. The Discussion tab is all about comments and blog posts. If you don't plan on using a blog for your site, you can pretty much ignore this page, but if you do, browse this page and see what settings you'd like to change in order to optimize your blog for the kind of interaction you want with your readers. In the Media tab, you can make changes to how media like images are handled by WordPress. You can change the sizes that images are edited to, as well as how image files are saved. The Permalinks tab allows you to customize your link structure, as well as how your categories and tags are used in terms of page links. Finally, the Privacy tab helps you to create a privacy policy page for your website. It includes a wizard and helpful information about why privacy policies are important, as well as how to build one. By default, most of these settings are fine and can stay where they are. But when you first set up your site, there are a few things I recommend that you change. Be sure to edit the site title to be something specific to your site. Make sure that the time zone is correct. Determine what your homepage displays. And as you're working on your site, make sure to discourage search engines from indexing the website so that search engines won't send visitors to a half-finished site. Edit the rest of the settings options only if you need to. In this video, we're going to talk about themes. Themes are the quickest way to customize how your website looks and feels to visitors. Your WordPress install will come with a default theme. Traditionally, there's a new one every single year, but there are actually thousands of themes out there to choose from, so feel free to try on a few others. A theme is a piece of open source software that you can either download for free or purchase. The theme will provide you with design tools and content management tools so that you don't have to build everything out from scratch. In short, a theme helps you get a professional-looking design much more quickly. Free themes are available through the WordPress theme directory. Let's download one to try it out. Go to Appearance, then Themes, then Add New. The directory will suggest some popular themes, the latest published themes, and allows you to favorite some themes. You can use the feature filter to find a theme that meets the needs of your specific website. Maybe I have a blog, and I want to make sure that I have the ability to add custom colors. I want it to be accessible, and I need a left-hand sidebar. After selecting these options, I'll choose Apply Filters. Because they're free, I can preview each one of these to see what it might look like. And I can install and activate as many as I like, and then remove them later if I don't like them. Developers all over the world create, maintain, and sell WordPress themes. You'll have to do a little bit of research to find a theme that works for you. Some examples of popular themes include GeneratePress, Astra WP, Neve, and Divi. Some themes are optimized for blogs, online stores, small businesses, and more. When you're shopping for a theme, there are a few important things you should keep in mind. There are free and premium ones available. While there are exceptions, premium themes tend to offer more features and better support. Only ever download from the directory or from well-known and highly vetted companies like Elegant Themes, Woo Themes, or Template Monster. Only ever download themes that have been recently updated. Again, recently updated, somewhat subjective, but a good rule of thumb is looking for an update within the last few weeks or months. That indicates that someone will probably be available to answer any support tickets you might have, as well as to push out updates and security patches. A secure theme doesn't include any known vulnerabilities. It's constantly updated by a theme developer. It meets acceptable code standards, and it's compatible with your recent version of WordPress, as well as any other plugins that you might have installed. When you go to Appearance, then Themes from the dashboard, you'll see a list of all the currently installed themes. Most likely, you'll see default themes like 2020, 2021, and 2022. You can go to Add New in order to search the directory for new free themes. If you've downloaded a theme from a third party, choose Upload Theme and use this uploader to add it. Once you do, you'll be able to see it and activate it from this main page. Keep in mind that while it's easy to swap themes, you can simply choose Activate on a new theme to swap over, you'll potentially need to redesign or change up the site layout after you do so. Just like the WordPress core software, themes need to be updated every so often. Remember, themes are created by independent developers, and they work hard to provide security and performance changes to the theme's code on a regular basis. When those changes are available, the developer will release a new version. You'll need to install that update once it's out. You can visit that theme's website to find a changelog that contains details about all the previous updates. When you log into your dashboard, you might see a red number besides the Updates list menu item like this. When you see it, select it to find out what needs updating. In this case, it's our theme. All you need to do is select the theme and click Update. WordPress will now grab and install the new version of the theme for you. WordPress software updates are a fact of life. While they're easy to do, they can be risky if you don't prepare. Follow these 3 simple steps before performing any updates. First, take a backup of your website. That way, if the update somehow conflicts with your current software, you can revert back to the previous version of your website right away. 2, make sure to look at the release notes to find out what this update does. And 3, make sure that you're using the right version of WordPress for this update. This is usually the most recent version of WordPress. One of the first things you may want to do when you set up your empty WordPress website is to install your branded elements. Your company might have a color palette and font combination that you'll want to use on the website. Or maybe you don't have those things yet and are excited to develop them. Setting colors, fonts, and styles in WordPress gets easier with every update. The theme you have will often allow you to create color palettes and set font families. But before heading into WordPress, make sure you've determined your color palette and found the appropriate hex values. We'll need those values later. With some free themes, you can go to Appearance, then Customize, and find all the menu items that you'll need to customize your site. I can use this menu to choose colors, and then set those colors using hex values. I can also choose this menu to determine my fonts or typography. These font options will appear across the entire website. It's a good idea to have one font for headers and a different font for body text. Now let's see how to do this with a premium theme. Premium themes all have slightly different customization screens and options for you to choose. Right now, I'm using a theme called Divi. I can use the same Appearance Customize screen to make some changes, or I can head into the Theme Options area. From this page, I can choose colors via the Color Picker's default palette. When I edit a page with Divi, I can use these panel options to get more granular into how colors and fonts behave. And notice how the colors I set before are here for me to choose from. Many page builder style themes like this one will have these kinds of options. Later on in this course, we will talk all about the block editor, sometimes referred to as Gutenberg. For now, all you need to know is that if you're using Gutenberg, you can set fonts and colors within the block editor itself. When a block is selected, I can set a font size and line height using the block menu on the right. I can also choose a background color, text color, and link color. Once I'm happy with these settings, I've set colors and fonts for this entire section right here. If I want all similar blocks to this one to have the exact same style in terms of typography and color, I can make this a reusable block by choosing this menu icon, then Add to Reusable Blocks. I'll name it, then save it. And now I can add this exact block with this exact style anywhere on my site without needing to redo the color and font options. I can also use the new Styles area in the full site editor to create a color template, just like I did with my previous theme. One of the most important elements of a branded website is the logo. It's an important visual communicator and will typically appear on every single page of your website. You can add or edit the logo in a couple of different ways. The logo will often go in the navigation menu, right here up at the top. And it might also appear in the website's footer. The expectation for the user will be that clicking the logo will bring the user back to the home page. Installing the site logo is simple. With a free theme, you can go to Appearance, Customize, and then find the Site Identity option. Choose the site title and logo settings, and select your logo. You will either need to add it to or choose it from the media library. Most themes will allow you to crop it as you see fit. Oftentimes, you can also change the logo width as well as many other options about how the logo is displayed. From this area, you can also add a site icon, also called a fav icon. It's a tiny version of your logo that will typically show up in browser tabs, like shown here. If you're using a premium theme, this process might be a little bit different. For example, with my Divi theme, I go to Divi's settings right here, and I can upload the logo from here. Once I save, this logo should automatically appear in my navigation menu, right here. If you're using the new full site editor, you can use the Home template, select the navigation menu, and then select Add a Site Logo. Choose the logo from your existing images in your media library and click Select. You can do the same with the footer. The navigation menu on your website provides a list of pages for your users to visit. They're typically global, meaning your navigation menu will appear on every page of your site unless you decide otherwise. WordPress makes it easy for you to create a global header menu quickly and customize it whenever you want. Your navigation menu reflects and summarizes the full layout of your site. So if you need more help planning out your content, check out our course on how to plan your website. There are a few different ways of creating a menu. If you're using an older theme or an older version of WordPress before 5.9, there's one method. But if you're using WordPress 5.9 and the full site editor, there will be another way. Let's first review the older method and then the new one. To get started, go to Appearance, then Menus. You can create multiple menus if you want. For right now, we're just going to create one. I want to create the main menu that will appear on all of my pages. So I'll name it Main Menu. I'll set it as my primary menu, and then hit Create. But a navigation menu isn't a navigation menu without links to other pages on the site, and you can add those using this section on the left. I can select a page, like my home page, and add it to the menu. I can even select multiple pages at once, add them all to the menu at the same time, or search for certain pages if I have a lot to choose from. I can add specific pages, posts, custom links, and even categories. That way, readers can find archive pages much more quickly. Don't forget to hit Save when you're done. So I've added all these pages and links, but my menu looks confusing and messy. On the editor page, I can rearrange all my items to appear in the order that I want. If I want to nest items underneath other items, I can drag them to sit just below and to the right of their parent. For example, my blog will be a top-level menu item or parent, but I want the category pages to be nested underneath. I can drag them all slightly to the right. Now, when I hover my mouse over Blog, a submenu will appear with the category links. Now, if you're using WordPress 5.9 or newer with the block editor or one of the default themes, you'll need to do this another way. With this new version, the header menu is created with a block. So we'll find this by going to Appearance and then Editor. Open up the menu, go to Template Parts, and then Header. And you'll see your header appear here. From this block, I can change the justification of the items if I'd like. I can delete certain pages from appearing in the menu altogether. I can add new pages. I can nest pages underneath other ones. and much more. If I want to reorder these items or nest some of them, I can do all of that from this page. And once I'm done, all I have to do is save this menu, make sure that template part header is selected, and this change will reflect across my entire website. Keep in mind that this is how your navigation menu works out of the box. Premium themes may provide you with additional build and customization options. Theme options will usually allow you to edit the font styles and colors of your navigation menu. Keep in mind, this is how your navigation menu will work out of the box. Premium themes may provide you with additional build and customization options. Theme options will usually allow you to edit the font styles and colors of your navigation menu. You'll be able to adjust the layout, like how the links are aligned, how they interact with your logo, and so on. It's important to make sure that how you style your menu will look and behave well on smaller devices too. When I test out the menu that I just made on a phone, I can see a mobile menu is used, also called a sandwich menu. It's important that this icon is easy to see and that the menu list items are large enough to read and tap on comfortably. A footer is similar in a lot of ways to the menu that we just talked about. It's full of links and helpful information to help users navigate your website. And they're usually global, meaning they appear the same on all pages. But typically, footers contain different types of information. While they do often contain a list of site pages, they also might contain things like contact information, social media links, important disclaimer text, and maybe even a call to action to a newsletter or something similar. WordPress footers are typically built with widgets. A whole widget page used to appear here in the Appearance menu. Now they're built with the block editor. If you're using a theme that doesn't utilize the full site editor, you can still use blocks to create widgets. When using the newest versions of WordPress, you'll need to use the full site editor in order to create and manage the footer. To do so, go to Appearance and then Editor. Scroll down until you find the footer section. It should look something like this. It might look a little bit different depending on your theme. The great part about this is that if you know how to edit blocks, you can build a footer. You can add and customize blocks in this section as you like. I want to add 3 columns and add my logo. Once I'm done, I'll select Save. WordPress will ask if I do indeed want to edit the footer template, and the answer is yes. So I'll leave that checked and I'll choose Save again. Now we can visit the front end of the website and look at that. The footer I edited appears across the whole site, no matter what page I go to. If you need some help with these blocks, head on over to Chapter 8, where we go into the block editor in more detail. Keep in mind that this is how your footer works out of the box for sites using WordPress 5.9 and newer with the 2020 theme. Free and premium themes may provide you with additional build and customization options. Theme options will also usually allow you to edit the font styles and colors in your menu. You should also be able to adjust the layout of the footer, like how the links and different sections are aligned. We talked a little bit about widgets already, but let's talk about more of what they can do. Widgets are incredibly powerful build tools for more than just one area on your site. You can use widgets to add a wide variety of dynamic content globally to many areas on your website. Widgets used to have their own page within the WordPress dashboard that looks something like this, but now they're created with the block-based widget editor. If you need some help with blocks, head on over to Chapter 8. With themes like 2022 and newer, you'll find widgets in the full site editing tools. But let's first review how to edit widgets with older themes. When a theme like 2021 is enabled, I can find the widgets area by going to Appearance and then Widgets. This theme in particular allows me to build a footer with widget blocks. I can also go to Appearance and then Customize, and find the Widgets menu item here as well. I can add new blocks like I would with any other block-based area, and I can customize the styles of each block and rearrange them like I would with any other. If I want to use a theme like Astra or something similar, I can access widgets by going to Appearance and then Widgets. So here, I have many different sidebar options. Let's look at the main sidebar. I can add whatever blocks I'd like to this area, and it will reflect on each page on the site where the main sidebar is enabled. Keep in mind, you might also see widget areas related to plugins you've installed, like this one from GiveWP. This widget area might appear next to a GiveWP form, and so I can use blocks to add new content to accompany that form. Remember, the point of widgets is to make global areas, so these blocks would appear to all of my GiveWP forms that have the sidebar enabled. For example, if I add the latest posts to this main sidebar and choose Update, I can visit my site, which granted does look a little messy right now, but in the sidebar, I can see that this menu item has been added. And the more I customize this menu item, the better it will look. I can use these block editor options to change certain details about the widgets, like how they look and how they're organized. If I want to remove a widget entirely, I can select it and choose Remove Group. Now that we've spent some time building out the global content sections and customizing the styles of our website, let's get into building out the website's pages. Some common pages you might want on your website include a home page, an about page, and a contact page. So if you're not sure what pages you need for your website, start with those 3 pages first. Creating a page can be done in 3 different ways. You can go to Pages, All Pages, and then Add New. Or you can go to Pages, Add New. And finally, from the top menu bar all the way up here, you can choose New and then Page. No matter which option you choose, you'll end up at a screen that looks like this. On this screen, you'll see a section for a page title and the main body section where you can start adding content. Content is added to pages with blocks, which we'll go over more in Chapter 8. The new page screen also contains a sidebar, which can be toggled on and off using this gear. Let's take a little tour of this sidebar. Select the Page tab to view information about this particular page. In the Status and Visibility section, you can make this page public, visible to everyone, or private, which is only visible to site admins and editors. Or you can even make this page password protected. If you want this page to be added to the site publicly on a specific date, you can schedule its publishing ahead of time. Maybe you developed this page and you need another site admin to review it before it's published. Use the Pending Review box for that purpose. You can also change the author of this page if you want to provide credit to someone else. The Template section allows you to change which template this page utilizes: the default template, the no separators template, the completely blank template, and the one with the large header. The permalink is the URL by which people access this specific page. Think of it like an apartment number. The main URL, in this case plantify.com, would be the address to the building. But each page has a unique identifier as well, which is like the apartment number. WordPress automatically will use the title of the page to create a slug like it did here. The slug is the part of the URL that identifies the page, but you can absolutely change the slug here. The discussion area allows you to turn on or off comments for this page. And the page attributes section allows you to edit the relationship between this page and other pages. You can add the featured image here, and we'll go more into the specifics of featured images at the end of Chapter 7. I've added some content here and I want to see how it will look. I can choose Preview, then choose the device type to see a sneak peek of the page in a new tab. This is how the page will look once it's published. The page looks good to me, and I'm ready to make the page live. Back on the editing screen, I choose Publish to do that. WordPress will ask me to double confirm that I do want to publish the page, and it'll make me click Publish again. It's now live. Every time I make a change to this page, I'll need to click Update in order to solidify that change. From here, I can copy the link and share it with my friends. I can choose View Page to, again, see what that page is going to look like. Or I can go right ahead and add an all-new page all over again. Throughout the life of your website, you may end up with lots and lots of pages. You can view them all from a single screen, which you access by clicking on Pages from the main navigation. This screen contains the Add New button at the top, and in the middle, you have a list of all your different pages, including the title, author, and date of publishing. You can search for pages within this list, and you can parse this list by all, published, and trash. You can also filter the pages by date if you want to. All of these things allow you to find the pages you want more quickly. When you select a page, you have a few options. Choosing Edit will bring you to the Page Edit screen that we worked on in the last video. Choosing Trash will delete the page. And choosing View will take you to a preview of the page as it is now. You'll see here that there's also a Quick Edit option. This will open up this small section with some quick options. They can allow you to make some changes without needing to head over to the edit screen. You can change the title, the slug or the last part of the URL, the date and time that the page was published, the password that it requires for access, or you can make the page private. You can decide whether this is a main page with no parent or whether it should be nested under any of your other pages. You can change the order that this page appears in. You can change the template. You can allow or disallow comments, and you can change the status from published, pending review, or draft. Just make sure that when you're done making these changes, you choose Update. If we wanted to make a change to many pages at the same time, we can definitely do that here. Select the changes that you want to edit, then use this drop-down menu to decide what you want to do. If you want to delete these pages, then choose Move to Trash, and then choose Apply. Or you can choose Edit and apply some quick edits to multiple pages at once. Keep in mind that the order of these pages as they appear on this screen does not determine the order in which they appear on your website in your navigation menu. If you want to change that order, you'll need to do that in the navigation menu area from Chapter 5. Let's talk next about posts, which have a similar workflow to pages but are used for different purposes. Pages and posts are very similar. Once you learn how to edit and publish pages, posts are going to be a breeze. But just remember that posts and pages are used for different purposes and are treated differently by WordPress. Like we reviewed before, pages are used for static content. You can edit pages, but overall, they're meant to stay the same. Posts are for timely content, and the idea is to add new posts regularly. They're organized by publish date and can be categorized in a detailed manner. You can have a site with a mix of both, or one or the other. Like pages, creating a new post can be done in a handful of different ways. You can go to Posts, All Posts, and then Add New. You can go to Posts and then Add New, or from the top menu bar, you can choose New, then Post. No matter which option you choose, you'll end up at a screen that looks like this. Now the Post screen is pretty identical to the Pages one. You have an area for a title and a content area that you can use blocks to develop. However, the sidebar will look a little bit different. In the Status and Visibility section, you can change the post to be public, visible to everyone, private, visible to site admins and editors, or even password protected. If you want this post to be added to the site publicly on a specific date, you can schedule its publishing ahead of time. Maybe this is a very important post and you always want it to stay at the top of the blog no matter what new posts come next. You can choose Stick to the top of the blog right here. Maybe you wrote this post and you need another site admin to review it before it's published. Use the Pending for Review box for that. And maybe you wrote this post, but you want to make it look like someone else did. You can change the author using this dropdown. Use the Template dropdown to determine which template you want this post to follow. The permalink is the URL by which people access this specific post. Think of it almost like an apartment number. The main URL is the address to the building or website, but each page has its unique identifier as well, like an apartment number. WordPress automatically will use the title of the post to create a slug, which is the part of the URL that identifies a page. That will update once the post is published. And once it is, you can absolutely change the slug right here. You can edit the categories and tags here, and the featured image here. We'll go over these areas in more detail later on in the course. The excerpt is a few sentences that might display with the post on an archive page. And the discussion section allows you to turn on or off comments, pingbacks, and trackbacks for this page. I've added some content to this post, and I want to see how it will look on the front end of the site. I can choose Preview, select the device I want to view on, and then select Preview in a new tab. Now I can see a sneak peek of the page in this new tab. Keep in mind that other site visitors are not going to be seeing this. It's just for you. If I don't want to publish it yet, but I want to save my changes, I can choose Save Draft. But the post looks good to me and I'm ready to publish, so I'll select the blue Publish button. WordPress will ask me to double confirm that I do want to publish this post and make me click it again. Now it's live. I can either copy the post URL to start sharing it with my friends, I can view the post again on the front end of the website, or I can get started with adding a brand new post all over again. Throughout the life of your website, you may end up with lots and lots of posts, which you'll need to manage. You can view them all on one screen all at the same time, which you access by clicking on Posts from the main navigation. If you watched the Managing Pages video earlier on, the content here is very similar. This screen contains the Add New button here at the top. In the middle, you have a list of all of your posts, including the title, the author, and the date of publishing, as well as the categories and tags for that post. You can use the search bar to search for the posts that you want if you have a lot of them, and you can parse this list by all, just viewing the published ones, and just viewing the drafts. You can filter the posts by date if you want to, and by categories if you want to. This way, you can find the ones you want much more quickly. When you hover your mouse or cursor over a post, you have a few options. Clicking on Edit will bring you to the Edit screen that we worked on in the last video. Choosing Trash will delete the post, and choosing View will take you to a preview of the post as it is right now. You'll also see that there is an option called Quick Edit. This will open up this small edit modal with some quick options for you, and this allows you to make some changes without needing to head over to the edit screen. If you wanted to make a change to many posts all at the same time, we can also do that here. Select the posts that you want to edit, then use the drop-down menu to decide what you want to do. If you want to delete all of these posts, choose Trash and then Apply. Or you can choose Edit, Apply, and add some changes to multiple posts at the same time. If you want to display an archive or a feed of all of your posts, create a new page using the steps that we followed in Chapter 6, and find the block called Latest Posts. This will automatically generate a list of all of your published posts, and this is updated each time you publish a new one. By default, posts appear in date order, with the most recent ones at the top. You can change the order if you want by using the options block. Let's go ahead and see what this actually looks like. Look at this, very simple list of posts. One of the things that make posts in WordPress so powerful is how easy it is to organize your content and then manipulate that content based on its metadata. Two examples of this are categories and tags. Categories are best used for broad groupings. For example, if you have a recipe blog, you may want to create categories for breakfast, entrees, desserts, etc. Any recipe you post will then be automatically assigned to one of these categories. Categories have hierarchy, meaning that you can have subcategories inside of main categories. But all posts have to have at least one category, or else WordPress will automatically assign them the uncategorized category. Tags are more useful for specific topics that you want to use to connect related content across and inside of categories. For example, this post on the Yoast SEO blog is in the SEO Basics category, but its tags include Google Algorithm, Holistic SEO, and SEO Basics. Tags have no hierarchical structure and are totally optional. My blog, right up here, has 3 different categories, all for my types of posts. Within each, I can use tags to identify other details about the posts themselves. There are 2 different places on the back end in which we can manage categories and tags. On the Edit screen for a post in the sidebar, you can add new categories and tags, and you can toggle on and off which categories and tags apply to this specific post. The Posts menu item in the dashboard also has submenu items for categories and for tags. On these screens, you can create new categories and tags, organize them, and provide specific metadata about them. Both pages and posts have a section on the edit screen for a featured image. The featured image is a photo that's attached to the page for display purposes. So whenever you're scrolling through social media and you see a link with an image that goes to a website, that image is the featured image. You set the featured image using the media library, and we'll go over more on the media library in Chapter 9. Let's walk through how to add a featured image from the WordPress dashboard. You can add featured images to pages and posts. On the page or post in question, find the Set Featured Image area and select it. You can drag a photo into the media library to use from your computer, or you can choose one that you've already uploaded. Landscape images are usually best. Otherwise, WordPress will have to crop the image for you. Choose Set Featured Image to select this one. Let's preview this image to see how it looks on the page. If we don't like how the image looks, we can change it. Go back to the Edit page, choose Replace Image, and choose a new one. Make sure to select Set Featured Image. Let's preview it one more time. It looks great. Don't forget to choose Update when you're happy with the featured image that you chose. Now remember, pages won't display the featured image unless that link is shared. But posts will display the image at the top of the post like we just saw, on the archive page, and when shared online. Sometimes, if you change your WordPress theme, your featured images may break or look strange, and that's because different themes may generate the image or crop it differently. You can download the free Regenerate Thumbnails plugin in order to fix this. With the push of a button, your site will reconfigure all your featured images to display normally. As you add content to your pages and posts, you'll notice blocks. Blocks are the components for adding content within the block editor. There are dozens of types of blocks, and new ones are being added all the time. They are literally the building blocks for adding page and post content. You can add as many blocks as you want to a single page or post to build out a unique and complex layout. Or you can add just one block if that's all you need, and you can add them in one of a few ways. On your screen, find this blue plus icon at the top left. When chosen, you'll be met with a whole list of blocks, organized by content types. Find one that matches the content area that you want to create. You can add things like text, tables, images, buttons, widgets, theme details, and embeds like social media icons. Simply tap on the block that you want to use in order to add it to the page. You can also add blocks directly from the main content area. Choose the black plus icon to choose from common block types or search for a block. You can also simply type /, then the name of the block you want. Hit enter and add the block. This method can really help you streamline your page building process. Blocks don't have to just be listed one after the other. You can nest some blocks inside of others. I can add other blocks inside of these columns. And each block will have a customization bar when you hover over it, but more on that in the next video. You can continuously add new blocks one after the other until you have all the content areas that you need. Each block will have a customization bar when you hover over it. But more on that in the next video. Right now, you can go to the directory to find themes and plugins for WordPress sites, but there's no separate directory right now for blocks. Instead, search for a block, and you can find blocks available to install. We call this the blocks library. For example, I may want an accordion block. Right now, you can go to the directory to find themes and plugins for WordPress, but there's no separate directory right now for blocks. Instead, you can search for a block in the block search area we looked at before to find blocks available to install. We call this the blocks library. So for example, I want an accordion block. I'll type that in and hit enter. Because there is no currently available accordion block by default, a bunch of available blocks will appear. I can click on one and install it. It's not enough to just add blocks to your page or post. Doing this will help you sketch out the kinds of content areas you want, but the true power of the block editor comes in with customization. Customization options can vary per block. For some blocks, you'll get a bar above the content with various options. For example, in the text block, I can move the block around, change the alignment, change the text style, or make that text a link. By tapping the 3 dots at the end of the bar, I can do even more, like duplicating that block or deleting it altogether. The customization for the image block is a little bit different. I can still move the block around, but I can also set duotone colors, change the size or alignment of the image, make this image a link, crop the image, and add text over the image. I can replace this image with a new one, or I can tap those 3 dots again to duplicate or remove it. The key to customizing a block is to just add it and explore the options. Chances are there's something cool and unexpected that you can accomplish with a block that you didn't expect. In this chapter, we'll talk more about customizing blocks and using the block sidebar, reusable blocks, patterns, and more. So we just talked about all you can do with block customization settings, but the block sidebar, which appears whenever a block is selected, helps you to customize blocks even further. So let's explore some examples of what you can do with this sidebar. You can find it on the right side of the editing screen. If you don't see it, tap the gear in the top right corner, then choose Block, while the block in question is selected, as opposed to Page. You'll be met with a menu of options that will vary depending on the block type. For example, in this paragraph block, we can set typography settings, color settings, and some additional advanced styles. When I select the image block, the sidebar changes to offer some different options. Now I can change the style of the image, add some alternative text, maybe add a border to the image, change up the sizing, colors, and dimensions. Just like the customization bar, the block sidebar changes a bit from block to block. So much fun of the block editor is popping in a block and exploring just how much you can change and adjust to suit your design. Now that we've customized the blocks on our page to our heart's content, we want a way to make sure we can utilize these same styles and customization settings site-wide. Reusable blocks let us do just that. We can ensure consistency as well as save time using reusable blocks. When you've customized a block to look and function how you'd like, go to the customization bar and tap the three dots. Find and select the menu item called Add to Reusable Blocks, and add a name that will help you identify this block style for next time. Here I've created a blurb for a member of our team, so I'll name this Team Blurb, and then save it. You can name it whatever you like, but make sure it will be easy for you to find later on. Now, I can go to an entirely different page or post and find this block with the styles that I set. Do this by opening up your block menu and browsing. Go to the Reusable tab and find the block you made. If I make any changes to the block here, when I go to update this page, it will ask if I also want to save the change I made to this reusable block. I can decide whether I'd like to or not. If I deselect this option, anywhere else on the site where this reusable block is used will remain the same. But if I select it, any change I made will apply to those reusable blocks as well. The block editor does so much more for site building than any other WordPress editor before it. When used correctly and thoughtfully, building out a modern and flexible site design can be speedy and elegant. Let's review some more advanced Gutenberg features to help you achieve a smooth workflow for building pages and posts. One of my favorite things to use in the block editor is patterns. Patterns are collections of blocks that make building a page layout much faster. Go to the blocks list and choose the Patterns tab. You'll see a few different patterns available. When you select one, you'll see that patterns are clusters of blocks that have been pre-designed. If you need a call to action or a set layout, you can choose a pattern and then insert your own custom text, images, and styles. Patterns make building so much faster and help you get a beautiful page design layout with minimal know-how. You can always access patterns through the block editor, but you can also go to wordpress.org/patterns to find additional ones. Find one you like, select Copy, and then paste it directly into your own page. Now, all you have to do is swap out the content for your own. While much of our focus has been on this blue plus icon, which helps us add new blocks, there are a few really helpful tools right up here beside it. I can toggle out of edit mode into select mode, which is great if all I need to do right now is rearrange my blocks and I don't want the customization bars popping up all over the place. There are undo and redo icons to help me if I make a mistake. As I'm writing content, I can tap this little eye to see a breakdown of how much I've written. And finally, the list view. If you end up with lots of different types of blocks and some are nested inside of others, this is incredibly useful as it helps you to rearrange the order of your blocks. If you need to manage the block editor in a more granular way, you can go to the Preferences menu. Find it by tapping these three dots or the Options menu in the top right-hand corner, and then choosing Preferences at the bottom. The General tab allows you to toggle on and off how the page displays certain settings and tools. Use the Blocks tab to customize how you interact with blocks and what types of blocks are visible. This can drastically streamline your building process. And in the Panels tab, set which options display or are hidden in the page's menu. Keep an eye on this block list. As you add new plugins, you'll start to see new blocks appear. For example, I just installed WooCommerce, and if I scroll to the bottom of my blocks menu, I'll see WooCommerce blocks appear. If I deactivate the WooCommerce plugin, these blocks will disappear. These blocks are specific to WooCommerce content and will update dynamically as I change things within WooCommerce. WordPress is all about displaying content, and an enormous part of that is displaying media, which can be complementary to text. The media library is where all of your files that aren't pure text are stored and managed. These are all the file types you can upload to the media library. They include image files, audio files, PDFs, videos, and more. If you need to upload something not on this list, you'll have to find a plugin or a coded solution. For example, if you want to add an SVG image file, you can use a plugin to do that. You can add new files in one of two ways. Go to the Media Library menu item, then choose Add New. From here, choose Select Files to browse your machine and find the image that you want. A preview will appear below when the upload is complete. You can also simply drag and drop media files into this specific area. If the image is too large or not in acceptable format, you'll see an error down here below. If you add any media through any means to a post, page, or plugin, it will end up in the media library. Once added, you can click the media file to see its own meta page. This page will tell you a ton about this file, like the upload date, the file name, file size, and dimensions. In the next video, we'll talk about how and why to add metadata to this page. Media files can take up a large amount of space on your website, which can affect speed and performance. It's important to understand how to manage your media library, not only to keep the amount of files in check, but to make the most out of every single one. The media library allows you to view your media in a gallery view like this, or a list view like this. You can use the menu items at the top to filter by media type or filter by date. You can use the search bar to search for files to find the ones you need easily. You can delete many files at once by choosing all the images you want to delete, going to Bulk Actions, choosing Delete Permanently, then choosing Apply. Select an image and you can change its file name within WordPress, its alternative text, the caption, and description. This kind of metadata is useful for search engines and helps you provide more detailed information to site users. If you need to make some simple changes to an image and don't have a media editor like Photoshop, WordPress provides you with a set of simple editing tools. From this image editing page, choose Edit Image. And from this screen, you can crop, rotate, flip, and make many other changes to this image, including the aspect ratio and dimensions. If you want to remove an individual file from the media library, you can do so in one of two ways. From the media library by choosing Delete Permanently beneath the image in question, or you can tap the image, then scroll down to the bottom of the page to choose Delete Permanently. Just remember that if you've already added this file to a page or post, deleting it might generate an error where the file used to be displayed. Chances are you own a smartphone, and on that phone, you have apps. Each app was built by an individual developer or company to achieve a purpose, whether it's to track your calories or listen to music. You can add them and remove them. Some are free and some are paid, and they enhance the things your phone can do. Plugins are very similar, but they're for your website instead of your phone. There are, more or less, 26 different types or classifications of plugins. They include analytics, communication, contact forms, e-commerce, language tools, maps, media, performance, marketing, and more. In the WordPress directory alone, there are over 58,000 plugins to choose from. If you need your site to do something that it doesn't do out of the box, chances are there's a plugin that does it. Just knowing that there are that many plugins out there can be daunting. But WordPress makes it easy to search for a plugin and filter down the results to find the perfect one for you. When looking for a plugin, either in the plugin directory or from individual sellers, look at when it was last updated. Recent updates mean it's being supported and patched. Read some of the reviews and look at how many times it's been downloaded. Social proof is helpful when shopping for anything, including plugins. You may also want to Google the name of the plugin with vulnerabilities after to get a feel for its security reputation. Many sites post reviews of plugins or plugin recommendation lists. These are great places to start when trying to find the right plugin for your needs. You can install as many plugins on your site as you'd like. As you're building out your site, it's a good idea to play with and test free plugins to see which ones work well for you. Just be sure to delete the ones you don't like or that you're not going to use once you're done with them. There are two ways to install plugins. One of them is from the free plugin directory that can be accessed from the WordPress dashboard. The other way is directly from the plugin developer through their own website. To install a plugin from the directory, find the plugin that you want to install, choose Install Now, Activate. Believe it or not, that's it. The plugin will appear on your plugins page and you can begin using it. If you've purchased a plugin, add-on, or extension from a third-party website, the process is slightly different. Download the zip file that contains the plugin. Go to Plugins, Add New, Upload Plugin. Use the Choose File button to browse your machine and find the zip file that you just downloaded. Choose Upload and then Install Now. Once it's been installed, you can choose Activate Plugin, and the plugin will be available on your plugins page. Notice that in both cases, we had to both install and activate the plugin in two separate steps. An installed plugin, like this one right here, has code that's been added to the server. All the plugins that are listed on your plugin page are installed, which means that their code is available on your server. But only the ones that are bolded and have this thick line to the left of them are activated, because WordPress allows you to activate and deactivate plugins for troubleshooting purposes. For example, these plugins right here have been deactivated. I think of it like turning on and off a lamp in your home. You can install the lamp by plugging it in and putting it on a table, but it's not activated until it's turned on, at which point the light can affect the other items in your home. It's important to know how to maintain the plugins that you've added to your site. Plugins offer a huge potential for vulnerabilities if they're not taken care of. Luckily, it doesn't take a lot of time or know-how to keep your plugins in order. Let's start on the main plugin screen. When you select plugins, you'll be met with a list of all the plugins you currently have installed, ones that are active as well as ones that are not. While you can technically have as many plugins as you want on your website, keep in mind that plugins are software and they take up space on your server, which can affect speed and performance the more you have. And some take up more space than others, so it's a good idea to only install plugins you absolutely need. You can deactivate a plugin by choosing Deactivate. And if you change your mind, you can activate it again. A deactivated plugin is not a deleted plugin, but it does turn it off, meaning that the features of that plugin don't work and don't affect your website. For example, I built this contact form for my contact page. If I deactivate this plugin, my form will actually disappear. In this case, all it's doing is showing the shortcode but not actually generating the form. This is actually pretty handy if you think a plugin is causing a conflict. When you deactivate it and the conflict goes away, you'll know that that was the code causing the problem. In order to delete a plugin entirely, which means its code is completely taken off of your server, you do have to deactivate it first. But then you can go ahead and choose Delete. Throughout the Plugins page, you can filter the list to just see the inactive or deactivated plugins. And you can delete them all in one fell swoop by selecting them all, choosing Delete from the Bulk Actions dropdown, then choosing Apply. Confirm with WordPress, and they'll be deleted one at a time. Maybe the most important thing to know about plugins is how to update them. As developers work to improve or patch plugin software, they'll release new versions, usually indicated with a number, like 18.6. Those versions may provide changes that are large or small, cosmetic or function-based. You can search for a changelog for that plugin to view what is changed in each version. But how do you know if a new version is available for an update? Whenever you log into WordPress, if an update is available, you'll see a red number beside your plugins menu. This number indicates how many plugins you have that are ready for an update. In this case, I have 2. And on the plugin page itself, I can see them easily highlighted here in yellow. You can also find this red number on the Updates page, which is here underneath Dashboard. This page shows you all the updates currently available to your site, not only plugins, but themes as well. This page shows you all the software updates currently available, not only to plugins, but to core and themes. If you only have a few plugins that need updating, you can select all, then choose Update Plugins. But it's typically safer to update them one by one from the plugins page. In order to perform updates from the plugins page, tap where it says Update Now, and WordPress will handle the installation for you. Make sure to wait the couple of seconds that it takes to update before clicking away to a new screen. WordPress is often considered high risk, high reward. It's the most powerful content management system in the world. More software is written for WordPress than for any other website builder. That does mean it can be more susceptible to hackers and bots, but luckily, when used properly, WordPress websites can be incredibly secure. Every new user you create is like making a copy of a key to your front door. The more keys, the more opportunity for someone to enter. One of the first things you can do to make sure your website is secure is to be smart about those keys, or those user roles. Don't make any extra keys that you don't have to, and make sure to destroy a key if someone isn't using it anymore. In WordPress terms, don't make a ton of user accounts if it isn't necessary, and delete a user if someone leaves your team. Always use secure passwords and secure usernames. Usernames like admin or user, or even just your first name, are very easy to guess. So use something a little more complicated for a username. This goes double for passwords. Your password shouldn't just be hard to guess, it should be almost impossible to guess. Use a random password generator, then save that password in a safe place, like a password manager. Finally, use user accounts appropriately. Not everyone you make a user account for needs full administrator access, so instead, use the user roles to only give people the access that they need. This way, if an intern's account is compromised, that hacker will be very limited in terms of what they can actually access. In the past, SSL certificates were really only deemed necessary for e-commerce websites, but now it's a best practice to attain SSL encryption for any and all websites. You can see that a website uses an SSL encryption when its URL uses HTTPS rather than HTTP. Most browsers will also show a small padlock beside the URL to show you that the encryption is working. SSL stands for Secure Sockets Layer. It creates an encrypted link between a web server and a web browser. They're necessary because they help to keep online transactions and private information on websites secure. So if someone is trying to read or modify information coming from your server to the browser, the SSL certificate makes that impossible. Installing an SSL certificate is important and easy, and many people consider it non-negotiable. Websites without one can suffer on Google. They work wonders in the background to protect your website, and once you add one, you don't really need to worry about it again. Most hosts will provide you with one, often for free. On my WordPress hosting account, I can go to the security section and then the SSL section and enable an SSL across all the URLs on my site, and the host does the rest for me. Sometimes, after installing an SSL certificate, you may get what's called a mixed content error. This is where your SSL is installed, but some pages or some content on your site are not using it. And this glitch can be pretty easily fixed using a plugin. My favorite plugin for this is called Really Simple SSL. After it's activated, visit its page in the settings, and then turn on the Mixed Content Fixer. Hit Save, and the plugin will sweep your site to make sure all URLs are using the proper encryption. We've talked a few times in this course about taking backups. A backup is simply a copy of your website's files and database stored in a safe location. Having backups means that if something happens to your website, like if it's hacked or if important data is accidentally erased, you can restore the website to an earlier version. There are many options available for taking backups. Many servers or hosts will offer you backup and restore services. You can use a third-party app or website that will connect to your site and take backups for you. Or you can use a plugin to schedule and take backups automatically or manually. It all depends on what feels right for you, your budget, and your workflow. One of the most popular questions around backups is how frequently to take them. It depends entirely on your website content. So for example, if you run a simple brochure website for your business that isn't really updated very much, then taking a backup once a month is probably okay. If you have an e-commerce store that processes hundreds of orders per day, you may want to schedule a backup every minute. Most websites fall somewhere in between. The thing to remember is that no matter how frequently you schedule your backups, you should always manually take one before updating WordPress core, WordPress themes, or WordPress plugins. One important rule of thumb for backups is location. You have the option usually to store backups on your server, on your computer, or in cloud storage. Multiple backups in multiple locations is usually the best idea, but if you have to pick one, I typically recommend the third option, cloud backups, and here's why. If you find that your site was hacked through your hosting account, or if your server crashed, then the backup stored on your server will probably be compromised or unavailable. If you store backups on your personal computer, then you can't access them from anywhere else. And if your computer is lost or damaged, there go your backups. With cloud storage, it's much harder for your backups to become compromised, damaged, or unavailable. And with cloud storage, you'll probably have more available space than the other two options. Having a WordPress website means you need to be proactive about its security. A hacked site can cost you tons in time and money, can damage your business's reputation, and most importantly, affect your users. All software is open to vulnerabilities. If it's on the internet, it's not 100% hacker-proof. But WordPress's infrastructure and educational community make it one of the most secure CMS options out there. A lot of WordPress security boils down to consistently using best practices, using secure hosting, making sure all of your software is up to date, using two-factor authentication on your login page, and using a firewall are all good places to start when hardening down a website in the long term. You can also hire a company to help you keep your site extra secure. Most hosting companies have high-level security features that you can pay extra for. WordFence, Securi, and Cloudflare are all dedicated services for WordPress website security, both proactive and reactive. You don't have to be a pro developer to get ahead of website vulnerabilities in the long term. You just need to be educated. And who knows, some people even make a career out of providing WordPress security services and updates to others. And that could be you. While WordPress is widely accessible and very beginner friendly, you might hit some snags along the way, but don't freak out. For pretty much any problem you hit with WordPress, you'll find a solution. The white screen of death is the fond name the WordPress community has given one of the scariest errors that you can encounter. You go to your site, and the entire screen is just blank. It's one of the most common errors that new WordPress users will face. So let's review how it happens and how to get your site back up and running as quickly as possible. The white screen of death means that a script on your website overloaded the available memory limit. This may be the result of a PHP error or theme or plugin conflict. With the release of WordPress version 5.2, if the problem is due to a plugin or a theme, the white screen of death will typically present as a simple message, which reads, "The site is experiencing technical difficulties. Please check your site admin email inbox for instructions." You'll also get an email that will look something like this. If you get this email, look to see if it names a specific plugin or theme that could be throwing the error. All you have to do is remove that software in order to fix the problem. But if you just see the plain white screen with no email, you might need to take a different approach. Increase the memory limit. Contact your website hosting provider and let them know of the error and that you'll need to increase your memory limit. This will prevent a timeout that could be causing the white screen of death. If you're having trouble isolating the cause of the problem, you can check the error log in your site files. This file, called debug.log, will be in the WP content folder, and this may tell you what plugin or which theme may have caused the error. If you do see a plugin or theme named, log into your website and deactivate that plugin or theme. If you can't log into the site, go to the WP contents folder, find the plugin or theme folder, and find the plugin or theme that's causing the issue. Once you find it, rename that folder to something else. I like to add old or X to the end of the name to identify that broken plugin or theme. Now, WordPress won't be able to find this software since the name of the folder has changed, and so its code won't cause an error anymore. Now that you've done this, you can either contact the support team for this plugin or a developer for help. A WordPress theme is typically the largest chunk of software on your site after WordPress core itself. This means there are many scripts and styles and commands within the theme structure that can cause conflicts or even take the whole site down. So here are a few things that you can do if your theme breaks your website. If your theme isn't showing up on the front end, or if a different theme shows instead that you aren't expecting, make sure that the correct theme is active. In the WordPress dashboard, go to Appearance, and then Themes. So here, I can see that the active theme is 2021, and it should be 2022. So I'll choose Activate. I'll go back to the front end of the site, and I can see that it looks exactly the way that I wanted. If your theme is showing, but it looks wrong or broken in some way, make sure that you're running the latest versions of both WordPress and your theme. In the dashboard, go to Updates and perform any updates that are available. So in this case, I can see that my 2022 theme does have an update available. I'll select it and choose Update Themes. Once you see this success page, check your site again to see if those errors have been resolved. If they haven't been resolved, you can also look for a plugin conflict. Go to the Plugins page and deactivate your plugins one by one. After deactivating a plugin, Check your site to see if whatever was broken is fixed. Continue to do this, going back and forth between the plugins page and your website until you see a resolution. For example, if the fourth plugin that you disable causes the problems that you saw originally to disappear, then this is the plugin responsible for the problem. If you've done this for all of your plugins and still haven't found a resolution, try refreshing your permalinks. Go to Settings, Permalinks, and make sure the permalink settings that you want are selected. Oftentimes, all you'll need to do is choose Save Changes to refresh these settings and remind WordPress which link structure it should be using. If you're using a premium theme or one that you downloaded from the theme directory, you might just need to activate a default WordPress theme instead, like 2022, 2021, or 2020. In the meantime, look at the theme details to see who actually created this theme. You can contact this company to find some support. Because WordPress is the most popular website builder in the world, unfortunately, it's also the most targeted. Sometimes you can tell very easily that a site has been hacked. Some browsers, like Google Chrome, actually show a big loud warning if it detects malware on a website. You may see unusual content suddenly appearing on the front end of the site, random creation of new users on the back end of the site, an existing password of a user not working, or random user role changes, like an editor suddenly becoming an administrator. Pop-ups in the back end of your website, broken shortcodes, and spam comments are not necessarily signs of a hack, but they can often be mistaken for such. Respond to a hack by taking as many screenshots of the problem as you can, then restoring your site to an old backup that was taken prior to when you noticed this hack. Change all of your user passwords as well as the credentials to your hosting account, and then connect with a security specialist. In most cases, it's a smarter choice to hire a company or agency like Securi that specializes in WordPress security, as opposed to an individual specialist who might promise to fix the hack for you immediately. Sometimes it's harder to tell if a site has been hacked. Hackers can hide malicious code in your site that may not come into effect or be noticed for a long time. This is where proactive measures like firewalls and malware scanning really shine. The main method to prevent a hack is to make it harder for hackers to access your site files. Pure and simple. Start by installing a firewall. A firewall protects web applications from attacks like cross-site scripting, SQL injections, and cookie poisoning, among others. Basically, it's a big filter for your website traffic. Great options for WordPress firewalls include ones from WordFence, BlogVault, and Securi. Once it's installed, utilize frequent and automatic malware scans that will check your code for unexpected changes. You can usually request malware scanning from your website's host. You can also take steps to prevent hacks by hardening your login screen. One of the most common ways for hackers to get into your dashboard is by using a brute force attack, where bots try to guess your password over and over. Limiting logins to 2 or 3 tries will stop bots in their tracks. This plugin is called Limit Login Attempts Reloaded, and it's available for free through the plugin directory. It ensures that only a few failed tries will lock down the login screen and prevent a bot from eventually becoming successful. WordPress comes with 2 amazing tools that can help you to troubleshoot your website. These tools can also help you learn more about your site as a whole. I'm talking about the Site Health section and the Health Check and Troubleshooting plugin. So let's review how they work and what kind of helpful information you can learn through them. We'll start with Site Health. This is a built-in page on your dashboard. To find it, go to Tools and then Site Health. On the first page, you'll see a summary of your site's health. You may also see some recommended improvements that you can make to improve the overall health of your website. You can also choose Past Tests to view the items that have no issues. Choose Info to go even deeper into your site's health. This page is helpful for viewing things like the WordPress version, theme and plugin information, server and database details, and a lot more. This page is awesome because it puts all of this information on one page, whereas previously you'd have to hunt around quite a bit to find some of this information. This information can also be key for troubleshooting. Say you need to know what PHP version you're using, what your memory limit is, or your database name in order to solve a problem. All this information is visible here. You can boost this page by installing the Health Check and Troubleshooting plugin. You can find it on the first page of the plugin directory without even needing to search. Once it's installed, you can go back to Tools and back to Site Health. The plugin will add these two menu items, Troubleshooting and Tools, to the Site Health section. Let's talk about troubleshooting first. Sometimes a plugin or theme might be causing a conflict, and you'll want to toggle them on and off to find the problem, but doing this could have a negative or confusing consequence for site visitors. When you choose troubleshooting, then choose Enable Troubleshooting Mode, you can make it so that your site looks blank only to you. Then you can toggle on and off plugins and themes without showing the effects to live site visitors. When we're done, we can choose Disable Troubleshooting Mode to undo that. We can also visit the Tools section for a few additional helpful troubleshooting resources. Check the file integrity to ensure that your WordPress API is functioning properly. This is a slightly more advanced tool that might make more sense to more experienced users, so don't worry if this doesn't ring a bell. The Mail Check area allows you to ensure that your mail feature through your site is functioning properly. If customers are not getting purchase confirmation emails, for example, this is a good place to start troubleshooting. And finally, identify the compatibility of plugins before upgrading your PHP version with this plugin compatibility section. This can help you to avoid plugin or PHP conflicts altogether. Creating with WordPress is a career-long endeavor. Once you've learned the basics, you can build on that foundational knowledge and develop businesses, communities, projects, income streams, and so much more.